Rain poured in sheets across the dimly lit motel parking lot. Sarah clutched her son tightly, heart pounding as shadows closed in. Her coat was soaked. Water dripped from her hair. The neon sign above flickered, casting red slashes on cracked asphalt. She tightened her grip around 6-year-old Ben. His small body trembled against her. She whispered, "We can't stop. Not now." Her voice shook. Thunder rolled overhead. Tires screeched in the distance. Footsteps echoed. She glanced back. 3 men in black jackets advanced, faces hidden by hoods. Sarah's breath caught. She dashed toward her beat-up car. Keys rattled in her trembling hand. A gunshot split the air. A bullet thudded into the door. Glass splintered near Ben's small head. He whimpered. She spun, yanking him out and ducking behind the car's rear bumper. The nearest thug raised his weapon. The other 2 fanned out. Sarah's mind raced. Where was help? She crouched, scanning for escape. Ben whimpered again. "Mommy, please." She kissed his forehead. "I love you," she whispered. Gunfire cracked. Her breath halted as a bullet zipped inches from her cheek. She screamed and lunged toward a vacant diner across the lot. Ben's small hand slipped into hers. She bolted. Cold rain stung her face. The thugs pursued them. Sarah dared not glance back. Her feet slipped on slick pavement. Pain seared through her ankle. She stumbled but kept running. The diner's neon sign spelled "open" in flickering blue and pink. She dove through the door inside. A few patrons turned. The bell above the door jingled. Sarah's soaked clothes dripped onto the tiled floor. She slammed the door behind them. Thugs crashed against the glass. The door wouldn't hold. Sarah pressed her back against it, shielding Ben. Her chest heaved. A sudden burst of gunfire shattered the window. Glass rained down. She screamed. Blood spurted from her shoulder. Ben screamed too. Suddenly, headlights thundered outside. An armored SUV screeched to a halt. Doors flew open. Thick boots pounded the pavement. A tall man in tactical gear stormed in, rifle raised. "Get down!" he barked. Sarah dropped behind a booth with Ben. The man fired. Bullets tore through tables, shattering china and sending shards flying. One thug fell. Another screamed as he was hit in the leg. The third spun and dove for cover. The hero barked into a radio. "Targets engaged! I've got them pinned!" Sarah's vision swam. She pressed a hand to her blood-soaked shirt. The pain blurred her sight. The stranger rushed over. He knelt beside her. His eyes were dark, intense. He reached to help her stand. "Can you move?" he asked. His voice was calm and steady. Sarah shook her head. "He'll kill us." She gasped. The stranger scanned the room for Ben. "I'll take him to safety. Stay down." He scooped Ben up. The boy clutched the man's coat, eyes wide. The man dashed toward the back exit. Sarah's mind blurred with relief and fear. A thug burst through shattered glass. He aimed at Sarah. But the stranger spun and tackled the thug. A thundering crack of bone echoed. The thug crumpled. More sirens approached. Sarah's knees buckled. Darkness crept in at the edges of her vision. The last thing she saw was the stranger's face, silhouetted against the neon, before her world went black. Sarah woke in a sterile hospital room. Her arm was in a sling and her ankle in a brace. A puff of pain shot through her every time she moved. She blinked, adjusting to harsh fluorescent light. Beside her bed, Ben lay asleep, bandaged and pale. His small chest rose and fell in peaceful slumber. For a moment, Sarah allowed herself relief. She touched his hair. It felt soft, warm. Memories of the attack flooded her mind. The rain, the gunfire, the stranger with the steady voice. A nurse entered, offering a gentle smile. "You're lucky. They found you two just in time." Sarah tried to speak, but her throat was raw. She cleared it. "Where is he?" she croaked, gesturing toward Ben. "He's stable. He'll be fine." The nurse patted her hand and slipped out, closing the door softly. Sarah's thoughts turned inward. She was a single mother, a social worker by trade, hard-working, honest. She had scraped together enough to give Ben a small apartment near a safe neighborhood. They kept a quiet life. Sarah gave everything to her son. He was her world. He had curly brown hair and curious green eyes. He loved drawing spaceships and dinosaurs. He believed his mom was the bravest woman alive. Sometimes, she replayed his laughter in her mind to block out her fear. Her love for Ben ran deep. She had lost her own parents years ago in a car crash. No siblings, no living relatives, just her little boy. She named him after her father, Ben. His goofy grin often reminded her of happier days. But mystery shadowed her life. Ben's father had vanished before he was born. No note, no calls, just abandonment. The hospital staff knew nothing. Sarah had tried to find him, but hit dead ends every time. Sometimes, she wondered if he died. Other times, she feared worse answers. The uncertainty haunted her. Now, bedridden, she felt vulnerable. She pressed her hand to her heart. The stranger saved them, but who was he? Where did he come from? She needed answers. She glanced at Ben's sleeping form. Her chest tightened. She'd face anything to protect him. As dusk settled over the city, Sarah closed her eyes. She planned her next move. A nurse would wake her soon. She steeled herself. The storm outside mirrored her turmoil. She whispered to herself, "I will keep you safe." 2 days later, Sarah sat at her kitchen table, propped by pillows. Ben skipped rocks across the counter with a spoon. He mumbled about dinosaurs. Sarah watched, smiling weakly. She sipped herbal tea. The apartment was quiet. Rain pattered lightly against the window. No threats. Yet, the next day, a man in a tailored suit delivered a letter. He wore tinted glasses. His demeanor was cold. Sarah eyed him warily. "This for you," he said, sliding a thick envelope across her doorframe. "Without signature. Just take it." She tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, embossed with a family crest she didn't recognize. Her pulse raced. She unfolded it carefully. The letter read, "Ms. Sarah Thompson, you have been named the sole heir to the Harper estate. This inheritance includes a trust fund for your son, valued at $10 million. To claim it, you must appear at Harper Manor within 7 days. Be advised that others may contest your claim. Sincerely, Edward Carlisle Harper Legal Affairs." Sarah's vision swirled. Harper Manor? Carlisle? None of these names rang a bell. The room spun. She sank into her chair. How? Why? She had no ties to wealthy families. She pressed a hand to her chest. Ben paused, looking at her. "Mom, are you okay?" Sarah forced calm. "It's nothing, sweetie." She stuffed the letter into her pocket. After the courier left, she dialed her friend Maria, a lawyer. Maria's voice crackled with concern. "Sarah, drop everything. Meet me at my office in an hour. And please don't tell Ben until I know more." Sarah closed her eyes, nodding though Maria couldn't see. She hung up and stared at the cloudy sky. A knot formed in her stomach. Who would contest her claim? Was this a trap? She felt another threat lurking. Yet, the promise of security for Ben tugged at her. She had struggled for years. Money would change everything. That night, Sarah lay in bed, unable to sleep. Moonlight spilled through the blinds. She stared at the ceiling. Her mind raced. The letter felt like both salvation and danger. She kept replaying the ominous final line. "Be advised that others may contest your claim." She wondered who stood to gain by robbing her. Then her thoughts turned dark. Could they be the same men who chased her? Was the inheritance linked to them? She shivered. Outside, distant thunder rumbled. Quiet cracked. Her phone buzzed. It was Maria. Something strange. The text read, "Call me now." Sarah bolted upright. She whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." Sarah met Maria at a downtown law office the next morning. The rain had stopped, but clouds lingered. Maria handed her a folder. "I pulled public records. The Harpers died in a boating accident 10 years ago. No heirs. Carlisle is their attorney." She tapped the file. "It seems Ben's father, whose name was Daniel Harper, might be related." Sarah's breath hitched. Daniel Harper? Ben's father? The letter used Harper, too. Facts collided in her mind. She flipped through pages. A birth certificate. It listed Daniel Harper as father, but she had always believed Daniel wasn't Harper. He had introduced himself as Daniel Thompson, a contractor. He never mentioned wealth. He disappeared when she was 3 months pregnant. Sarah felt bile rise. She clutched the folder. Maria continued, "There's no will. If you step forward as their daughter's mother, you inherit. But other relatives have begun inquiries online. The Carlisle firm claims they'll contest anyone suspicious." Fear gnawed at Sarah. She felt exposed. Maria noticed. "You need security," she said. "I can arrange someone." Sarah nodded slowly. She barely knew anyone. "Trust no one," Maria warned. "People might follow you. Be careful." As Sarah left, she sensed someone watching from a black sedan. She froze. Rain dripped from the brim of her hood. The sedan's engine idled. A man in sunglasses took notes in a small notebook. Sarah's pulse zoomed. She walked faster. He started the car and tailed her. Sarah's legs felt like jelly. She darted into a cafe, ordered tea with trembling hands. Behind her, the man lingered. Ben waited at home. Sarah hugged him tightly. She fought tears as she kissed his forehead. "I'm okay," she whispered, but inside she felt unsteady. That night, a knock came at her door. Sarah tensed. She peeked through the peephole. 2 men in sharp suits stood on the porch. No smiles. One flashed a badge. "Detective Reyes," he said. "We're investigating an assault incident. I'd like to ask you a few questions." Sarah's heart pounded. She let them in. They asked about the hotel shooting. She recounted it, voice shaking. They took notes. Detective Reyes studied her face. "Be careful," he said as he left. Some people in that attack were tied to a dangerous network. Sarah closed the door. Ben watched from the stairs. She forced a smile. "Just some law stuff, honey." He shrugged and returned to his toys. But Sarah couldn't shake dread. Over the next days, threats multiplied. A note slid under her door. "Stay away from Carlisle, or lose everything." Her phone buzzed with anonymous texts. "Found out your secret. We'll be watching." Sarah started sleeping with a knife on her nightstand. She installed locks, checked windows. Each creak in the night made her heart leap. Then, a defender emerged. The tall man from the diner reappeared at her door one evening. Rain drizzled outside. He wore a dark coat and gloves. His expression was unreadable. "I'm Lucas," he said, extending his hand. "I was there the night they tried to kill you." Sarah studied him, suspicious. "Why help me? Who are you?" Lucas's gaze remained steady. "Call me your protector. I work for Carlisle, ensuring your safety until this is over." He offered no more. Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "I need help. Thank you." Lucas stayed silent, but offered comfort in his presence. He watched over Sarah and Ben. He drove them to Maria's office, kept guard outside. When Sarah checked phone records, she saw calls from unknown numbers. Lucas confronted her fears with resolve. They'll come for you. Days melded into nights. Sarah grew closer to Lucas. His silence spoke volumes. He seemed haunted. Sometimes he stared off at distant traffic, jaw clenched. Sarah caught him running drills in the alley, moves she recognized as military. He never explained. One night, as thunder rolled, Ben fell sick with fever. Sarah panicked. Lucas carried Ben to the clinic on his back. In the waiting room, Sarah's face turned pale. Lucas sat across from her, calm. "He'll be fine," he said. "I've seen worse." Sarah stared at him. "Why do you care so much?" Lucas's eyes softened. "I have my reasons." She nodded, unsure. His presence was both comforting and unsettling. Sarah's world turned upside down. Threats loomed. She felt helpless. One evening, Lucas appeared at her door. The sun dipped low, casting orange light across the room. He carried a duffel bag. "Time to train," he said simply. Sarah frowned. "Train? I'm not a fighter." Lucas set the bag down. "You will be." He opened it to reveal simple gear: sneakers, workout clothes, hand wraps. He pulled out a pair of boxing gloves. "You need to defend yourself." Sarah's breath hitched. "I don't know how." Lucas nodded. He led her to an abandoned warehouse 2 blocks away. Inside, dust motes danced in beams of light. Wooden crates lined the walls. He shut the large metal door behind them. First, breathing. He demonstrated deep, controlled inhales and exhales. He guided her through a cycle. She felt her heart slow. Next came basic stances. She copied his movements. Feet shoulder width. Knees bent, chin tucked. Her muscles protested. He watched her carefully. "Good. Now jab." He held a punching pad. Sarah's first punch landed awkwardly. She winced at the sting. Lucas encouraged her. Again. She hit harder. The pad thudded against his arm. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Pain pulsed in her knuckles. Yet, she felt a surge of adrenaline. Over days, Sarah trained every morning before Ben woke. Rain, sun, wind. She and Lucas pushed through. He showed her footwork drills, how to block, how to throw a proper cross. He taught her to aim for soft spots, ribs, solar plexus. Physical exercise became a release. Each punch grounded her fear. She felt strength awaken. During breaks, they shared stories. Sarah learned Lucas had lost his sister to a car bomb linked to Harper family disputes. He blamed Carlisle's circle for keeping secrets. He'd infiltrated Carlisle's security team to protect her, hoping to uncover truth. Sarah's chest tightened. She hadn't expected shared pain. She nodded, understanding his silence now. One afternoon, Ben joined them. He watched from a distance, eyes wide. Lucas invited him to try pad work. Ben giggled as his small fists hit the pad. Lucas praised him. "Nice punch, buddy." Sarah watched, tears in her eyes. She felt hope. Their bond grew deeper. Sarah's fears receded, replaced by determination. She felt ready to face whatever came. 2 weeks later, Sarah received a call from Maria. Her voice trembled. "We have a problem. Carlisle's lawyers found a second will." Sarah's heart stopped. "A second will?" Maria's sigh echoed through the phone. "It names Daniel Harper's brother Victor as heir. That document surfaced yesterday. It seems genuine." Sarah sank onto her couch. Victor? She didn't know him. She scrolled through images online. A stern man in his 50s, sharp jaw, cold eyes. He was a businessman in the city, a powerful enemy she'd never met. Lucas stood behind her. She showed him the photos. He frowned. Victor's reputation is bad. He'll stop at nothing. Sarah glared at Victor's cold face on the screen. So this inheritance could be ripped from my hands at any moment? Lucas nodded grimly. Yes, we need to act fast. That night, a crash echoed from the kitchen. Lucas and Sarah dove toward the door. 2 masked intruders smashed through the window. Shards fell like rain. The men wore black tactical gear. One had a gun, the other a knife. Sarah grabbed a lamp. Lucas stepped forward. Get behind me. Sarah's heart hammered as the men advanced. Lucas moved like lightning. He disarmed one with a swift strike. Glass shattered as he kicked the other across the room. Sarah seized the moment. She grabbed the intruder's knife and slashed at his arm. He howled, dropping the weapon. Lucas pinned him down. Sirens wailed outside. The intruders sobbed, defeated. Sarah trembled. Why do they hate me so much? She whispered. Lucas held her. Because you threaten their fortune. She stared at his dark eyes. I need answers about my father, about Victor. Lucas hesitated. Victor wasn't content watching his brother's fortune go to a woman he never acknowledged. His voice grew bitter. He forged the second will. Sarah's chest tightened. But where did he get the legal power? Who helped him? Lucas's expression darkened. Carlisle. Sarah's vision blurred. But he protected me. Lucas bowed his head. Carlisle is playing both sides. He stands to benefit no matter who wins. Sarah stared at him, betrayal slashing through her. You knew? Lucas shook his head. I suspected. I confronted him. He denied. But evidence surfaced. He pulled a folder from his coat. Inside were emails and signatures. Look. Sarah's hands trembled as she read. Carlisle had drafted both wills. He planned to claim a hefty legal fee regardless of who inherited. Worse, he leaked info to Victor's network to pressure Sarah. Tears filled Sarah's eyes. She looked at Lucas. I trusted him. Lucas pulled her close. I'm sorry. Sarah's world unspooled. She felt dizzy. The ally she counted on was corrupt too. Her sense of safety shattered. She sank to the floor, clutching the file. Ben peeked around the corner, eyes wide. Mommy? Sarah forced a smile, though her heart ached. She scooped him into her arms. Everything's okay, baby. But in the darkness of her mind, doubts churned. Who could she trust? The enemy seemed everywhere. Victor's goons struck at dawn. A knock at the door. Sarah peered through the peephole. 5 men in suits, faces cold. Ben slept in his room. Sarah's pulse pounded. She signaled Lucas, who knelt by the window. He slipped out through the fire. Escape. Sarah opened the door. The men pushed inside. Their eyes swept the apartment. We want the will, their leader snarled. Hand it over, or your son pays. Sarah backed away, heart thundering. She lifted Ben into her arms. You'll never get it. The leader smirked. You'll be sorry. They advanced. Sarah retreated toward the kitchen. Her hand slid across the counter. Behind her, a window. She considered throwing Ben out. No, she'd never risk it. Tears fell down her cheeks. The men lunged. Panic seized her. She shoved past them, racing for the fire escape. A rifle report cracked from below. One thug fell. Sarah screamed and scrambled up the ladder. Ben clung to her neck. From above, Lucas aimed a sniper rifle. He fired again, sending the last thug sprawling. He slid down the ladder and caught Sarah and Ben as they dropped to the ground. Sirens wailed. Detective Reyes's squad cars screeched. Inchom. Officers swarmed the scene, handcuffing the incapacitated goons. Sarah collapsed to her knees, knees bruised and soaked. She held Ben tight. Lucas placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "You both are safe now." Sarah's legs trembled. She stared at Ben. His temple bled. Lucas knelt to examine him. "You'll need stitches," he said. "Let's move." He scooped Ben. Sarah looked around. Her apartment door was splintered. Rain dripped through the shattered window. She felt numb. They rushed to a safe house arranged by Detective Reyes. Inside, a small cabin in the woods. Sarah laid Ben on a cot. He whimpered in pain. Lucas cleaned and dressed his wound. Detective Reyes stood by the door. "You two stay here," he ordered. "We'll sort out Victor and Carlisle." Sarah nodded numbly. "Thank you." The cabin was silent except for Ben's soft breathing. Sarah sank to the floor, hugging her knees. Lucas sat beside her. "They won't bother you anymore," he promised. She stared at him, eyes red. "Can I ever trust anyone again?" Lucas's gaze faltered. He looked away. "You can trust me." Sarah's jaw tightened. She nodded slowly. Silence stretched between them. That night, Sarah lay awake listening to rain patter on the roof. Lucas slept on a cot nearby. She rose and slipped. Outside, mist swirled around the cabin. She paced the clearing, mind racing. Danger still lurked in Victor's hunger. She had to end this. She returned inside. Lucas stirred. "Going somewhere?" he asked. "I need answers." He nodded. "Let's face them head on." They slipped into the shadows toward a hidden clearing, where Carlisle's private plane waited on a makeshift runway. Rain slicked the ground. Fettling lights marked the path. Carlisle, unaware, prepared for midnight takeoff. Lucas motioned to Sarah. They crept closer. Inside the cabin, a single lamp glowed. Carlisle stood over a desk, reviewing documents. He looked older than Sarah remembered in casual encounters. His eyes were sharp, calculating. He slid the second will into a safe. Sarah swallowed. Lucas tapped on the window. The glass shattered as he kicked it in. Carlisle whirled. "Lucas! Sarah!" he exclaimed, stunned. He reached for his phone. Lucas tackled him. Carlisle's head cracked against the floor. He groaned. Sarah stormed in, rain-damp hair plastered to her face. "Where's Victor?" she demanded. Carlisle coughed. "He's flying out tonight. You'll never find him." Sarah clenched her fists. "I have the original will. I'll fight him." Carlisle sneered. "You have nothing. Without my signatures, both wills are invalid. The court will toss them." Sarah's heart sank. "But the birth records?" Carlisle smiled coldly. "Insufficient. Victor has lawyers, judges on his payroll. You're out of your depth." Sarah's vision narrowed. She stepped forward. "Maybe so. But first, I'll make sure you pay for everything." She reached into her pocket, pulling out a recorder. "This conversation is my evidence." Carlisle laughed. "You won't defame me. You'll be exposed, embarrassed." Sarah raised her chin. "We'll see." Lucas dragged a bloodied Carlisle outside. They bound his hands. The rain fell heavy. A lone beam from a truck's headlights illuminated the scene. Detective Reyes's squad arrived, guns drawn. They cuffed Carlisle, reading him rights. Victor's plane remained muted in the distance. Sarah stood soaked, Ben asleep in her arms, Lucas shielding her. She watched Carlisle led away. She felt a shred of victory, but Victor still roamed free. 2 days later, Sarah and Ben sat in a courthouse lobby. Victor Harper faced charges of forgery, extortion, and attempted kidnapping. The gallery buzzed with reporters. Sarah wore a simple suit, hair tied back. Ben clutched her hand. Lucas paced nearby. Detective Reyes stood guard. The judge entered, Victor's face was sullen, pale. The defense rested. Maria presented the birth certificate, the recorded confession from Carlisle, and evidence of Victor's criminal ties. The room held its breath. The judge reviewed documents, then peered down at Victor. The court finds the second will null and void. Ms. Thompson is the rightful heir to the Harper estate. He banged his gavel. Case dismissed. Cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Relief washed over her. She hugged Ben. He giggled, hiding behind her leg. Outside, Lucas embraced Sarah. Rain had stopped. The sun peeked through clouds, casting golden rays. "You did it," he whispered. Sarah looked up at him, gratitude shining. "I couldn't have without you." Lucas shook his head. "You did it yourself." He smiled, a rare softness in his eyes. Ben tugged on Sarah's coat. "Mommy, can we celebrate with ice cream?" Sarah laughed. "Of course." She held Ben's hand and turned to Lucas. "Will you come with us?" Lucas's gaze lingered. "I think I'm exactly where I belong." They walked toward a small creamery on the corner. The breeze was gentle. Sarah inhaled deeply, tasting freedom. They ordered scoops of chocolate and vanilla. Ben's face lit up as he licked a towering cone. Sarah and Lucas shared a glance. In that moment, something shifted. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You're safe now," he murmured. Sarah nodded, voice soft. "Thanks to you." Their hands brushed as they held Ben between them. Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest. The lingering shadows of the past seemed to fade. The inheritance secured, Victor behind bars, Carlisle exposed. They could finally breathe. As they walked home, Sarah glanced at Lucas. "What happens now?" Lucas met her gaze. "We build a life, together." Sarah smiled, a genuine curve of her lips. Hope soared like a bird at dawn. She squeezed Lucas's hand. Ben bounced ahead, chasing pigeons. The sky cleared, revealing patches of blue. Sarah whispered to herself, "We're going to be okay." The future remained uncertain, but for the first time, she believed in its promise. The storm had passed. Now, they would begin again, stronger, united, and free.